This is problem number 5 from the midterm review. And suppose that the same data that we're looking at, we want to find the mean and standard deviation. So let's just assume that everything else is already in our calculator. We'll hit Stat, Calc, 1var Stats, and we'll click on L1 so we can pick up our mean and standard deviation. So the round off rule says that we should report the mean to be 1 decimal place past the round off rule says that we should report our statistics, our mean and standard deviation, 1 decimal place past the original data. So I would say your x bar is going to be 20.4 and your s is going to be the SX here, which is 13.5. Michael received a 27 on his midterm. What's his z-score? So the z-score formula is x minus x bar over s, or mu and sigma, depending if you're looking at the population. So with our calculators, let's put his score of 27 minus the mean 20.4 and divide that. After you should hit enter and then divide that by 13.5, and we have 0.488 or 0.489. Remember, the round off rule for the z-scores is up to 3 decimal places, or 2 decimal places, I guess. So let's just call it 0.49. So he's almost half a standard deviation above the mean. So it's positive, so it says it's above, and then it's 0.49, which is about 0.5. The next part here, the mean, the instructor had to curve the grade. So based on this standard deviation of z is equal to 0.49, the z-score is 0.49, so where is he in this spot? So he's less than 1, he's between -1 and 1, so with a score of 27 on his midterm, he gets a C. Z-score is equal to 0.49, so that gives you that C level between -1 and +1. What exam score do you need to get a C or better on this exam? So z-score must be at least -1. So we want to know what score you get to get a z-score of -1. What we do in this scenario is we basically look at this, and you can put in values there, or you can work backwards, or you can remember the formula. Let's actually put in the value. We want a z of -1. X is unknown. We have our x bar is 20.4. And our standard deviation is 13.5. So we're solving for x. We're doing a little bit of algebra here. We're going to multiply this by 13.5 on both sides. So x minus 20.4 is equal to -13.5. And then we're going to add 20.4. So that x is equal to, now if we add this, it's actually subtracting, or better probably put it in the calculator. But let's see if we can do it by hand. So there's a borrowing 6.9. So it looks like with an exam score of 6.9, you could actually get a C in this class. The last problem, according to the empirical rule, if you remember, oops, this should be a little bit more symmetric. Let's try that again. according to the empirical rule, we have z is equal to 0. One standard deviation away, we have 68% of the data. And then 2 standard deviations away, we have 95% of the data. So remember that your C's go from -1 to 1. This little tiny bit over here are B students. This little tiny bit over here are D students. So the A's and F's are out here, complement of the 95%. So it looks like 5% of the students will receive an A or an F outside. How many students will that be? We could do the same business over here where we figure out what happens when x is equal to 2. By the way, the formula when you solve for this is finding the x is equal to x bar plus z times s. That's exactly what we did here. We multiplied z times s, the z-score, times the standard deviation. After that we added the mean. So let's do that so that it'll be a little bit quicker. So our x value for the boundary here at -2 would be your mean, 20.4, plus your z-score that you want, which is -2, times your standard deviation, which is 13.5. Let's punch that in our calculator. So we have 20.4 plus, let's put a parentheses around a -2, and -2 uses this negative sign, times 13.5. And that would give us a negative number. You can't get a negative number, so it looks like nobody gets an F, because nobody's going to get a negative number. So -6.6. That means this is the boundary in X terms, or in terms of the exams, -6.6. So nobody's going to get that score less than that. So it looks like the lowest score that people are going to get are D's. Now to get this boundary over here for the A, we need to change your calculator command instead of a -2 to be a +2. So a trick with a calculator is that if you press second and enter, you would get the last entry. So I just want to move my cursor left arrow back to get rid of this negative sign. So I'll delete that one character, and then I'll just press enter. And that would give us a 47.4. to be the boundary for an A. If you remember the list, I have the list already in order. I'm going to arrow up just to get to that last spot. There's a high number of 74, and then the next number below that is 41, so that doesn't quite make the cut for 47 for the A. So it looks like only one person gets an A. 1A, and that's the person who's got the score of 74. That's the largest. Alright, that's problem number 4.